Thanks for joining us. Just first, how insurable is an event like this, a pandemic?
Well, let's come back to what we do every day, which is personal lines and serving members who have auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and their renters products. And I think those coverages are very straightforward, and we're very well prepared to serve there. I think what's interesting right now is that all of the data that you would use to determine how often folks would crash and how much those crashes would cost are thrown out the window, given the demand shock and all of the stay-at-home orders that are resident around the country.
So that's why you've decided to return this money, this auto insurance, to your members. Is it making a big difference?
It is. We were built to help our members. We serve every day, and we work really hard to serve well in times of great need. And what we've seen through really the middle of March through today is that our members are not driving because of stay at home. The result of that is we know we'll have fewer costs to serve those auto products this year, and we're able, capable, and willing to deliver some of that early to them in the form of distributions. So we did that a couple of weeks ago for 2 months at 20%, about $520 million. And last week we announced that we'll do it for a third month, which brings that to about $800 million that we'll be returning back to USAA members. Really part of our broader mission of helping when folks need us most. About 700,000 of our members have actually accessed various programs that we have across insurance and banking to either defer payments or to suspend interest, to suspend fees, to not cancel policies during this really tough time. And we're really prepared to continue to do what we have to help our members at this time.
Well, Wayne, you mentioned it, of course, it is a really tough time. So we're always looking for good news, and I would guess there is some based on the accident rates and fewer deaths on the road. I mean, what do the numbers look like, and what are your expectations in terms of when America gets back to more work? Are things going to increase commensurately?
Well, it's interesting, David. I think on average, it's been about 40 to 50% fewer accidents for us over the last few weeks. Those numbers vary a bit week to week. The last couple of weeks, though, we've seen a slight uptick in those rates, and certainly not because stores are reopening, as Steve Leisman was talking about a few minutes ago. But I do think there is either a spring fever or cabin fever in the air. And we're noticing, if you just anecdotally drive around, there are more cars on the road, and we're seeing that statistically in our accident rates as well, just really in the last 2 weeks. So it'll be very interesting over the next few weeks as states reopen and relax those orders, what the driving patterns might be and how quickly we do or don't get back to normal.
Wayne, your company came under some criticism in the news a few weeks ago when the government stimulus checks started being mailed to Americans, and your primary members are veterans and military personnel. Were you actually withholding those stimulus checks from those members to help them pay off debt?
Well, I think what we all know is that these programs came down very quickly. The right thing to do to get money in the hands of everyone in America who needs it. I think to the letter of the law, the process that we used made sense, but it certainly wasn't the right thing to do. And when we became aware of it, when I became aware of it, we got it right. It took us about 24 hours to make that change. I think one of the lessons in the pandemic is you make the best decisions you can every day, and you adjust and adapt quickly. And we did that in about 24 hours.
Wayne, on traffic patterns, just one last question on that as well. Some of these mobility trackers that we're getting out of like Google show that walking and driving is ticking up a little bit. Mass transit, though, looks more L-shaped. And I wonder if you think that we might be looking at a step function in long-term motor vehicle traffic versus things like buses and trains.
Well, Carl, it's one of the great things for today. We're trying to make good decisions today and then pressure test and scenario plan for the future. I think some very interesting macro trends to consider. Will urban dwellers move to the suburbs because they want more space and escape, maybe some of the concerns from the virus? Will folks go back to driving their own car as opposed to sharing rides or using Uber and others? Will the concern about mass transit say that there'll be more work, more focus on driving personal cars? All, I think, very interesting questions. with a very wide range of outcomes associated with it. We're studying all of those and scenario planning, for a future through and then post-pandemic.
Finally, Wayne, how do you think about how many losses you're going to face across, property and casualty as a result of this pandemic? And do you think it would be appropriate for Congress to act to step in and help your industry during this tough time?
Well, here's what I would tell you. We built USAA to take care of members and to be there when they need us most. And we ethically, every day, act to do the right thing and to pay what we owe. And I think we have a very upstanding industry broadly. And I think the markets will function really, really well. I think you're seeing already all of the major carriers and personal lines have made some decision to return premiums back to members, recognizing that they haven't driven as much as everyone expected this year. And then I think we have to step back from auto insurance and recognize that although Mother Nature may be in one side dealing with the pandemic, she isn't really connected well with the weather. And we've already had a very tough tornado season through the springtime with the expectations that there'll be a tough hurricane season as well. So for all of us, managing this group of risks, managing them really well, connecting them back to future premiums is what the insurance industry is all about. It's got a very long history of understanding risk and pricing it well. And I think we're very strong advocates of having the markets function the way they have in the past.